if you guys haven't heard yet, the Bucks undrafted free agent Desmond Watson, who's like 580 pounds. I think it's a little bit less than that, but he just got cut. I just wanted to say that. It's just kind of sad. I guess it's in a really great mood to go into. Anyway, though, yeah, some of these coaches are gonna get fired. It's just gonna happen. But we'll be ranking them 1 through 32. So let's get this thing rolling. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Please like and subscribe. Please, guys, enjoy the 2025 NFL head coach tier rankings. Yes, there's 32 guys to go through. Should be a little bit of a shorter one than the ones we've seen in a little bit. This is backwards, as you know. So I guess it's more of a hot seat meter, at least at the moment. But like, let's be honest, guys. If they're a head coach, it's probably like that. I mean, again, if you're a bad head coach, you're gonna get fired at some point. I mean, even if you were Jason Garrett, even if you were freaking Hugh Jackson. You're still going to get fired, so that's what I'll say. There's all the new head coaches. I guess we went through, like, back in, what was it, March, when we did it was February, I don't remember. When we did the head coaching, new head coaches and all the coordinators rankings. But, like, back to it, I mean, this is probably a little bit more of a realistic, and I'm also going to be predicting where these guys will go. But, yeah. So, also, I will be going by tiers, so we will technically be ranking these guys 1 to 32, but doing a power ranking sort of thing, at least for coaches as of right now, seems a little bit too much. But again, we'll definitely be seeing that in the next couple days for sure. But with that said, we'll start out with Aaron Glenn, the Jets' new head coach. I'm going to say, honestly, off the bat, this is tough. I got to add another tier. Ice cold. There we go. We gotta figure this out. What are we gonna do? No, that doesn't work. There we go. All right. Yeah. I like these tiers. All right. Off the bat, this might seem a lot for some Jets fans. I think he's in a warm seat. The fact that you guys fired Robert Saleh last year, I'm not saying that he was like completely like doing a good job or anything like that. Again, they had a pretty awful record in 3 years there, or not a good record in the 3 years he coached, 3+ years he coached there with the Jets. But the fact that they were getting better, and again, it was just kind of a tough circumstance against the Vikings in week 5, and you just got rid of them. And then Jeff Ulbrich, who we will be talking about a lot more when we talk about the Falcons defense coming up. But specifically for Aaron Glenn, I think he's in a tough situation just because of the fact that just because of the fact that his quarterback situation is not the greatest, to say the least. And I don't really think he's that great of a coach. Again, I understand that statistically it's probably a little bit more on the negative side in terms of how he coached the Lions, but at least defensively. But honestly, guys, I don't think that's like the end of the world. He still instilled a really good culture, and they were great against the run last year. I understand there were a lot of coverage woes, but again, it really wasn't his fault. I wouldn't really say it's his fault. It was obviously partly his fault, but I think some of the guys he had out there were just really didn't fit the scheme well. But again, the fact he's instilled a run game-esque culture there, I think is huge. It's just the fact that this team can actually win into games, which we'll have to see what happens. But Aaron Glenn's looking a little bit questionable for me. But again, you could probably put him in questionable, but I think we're going to put him in a warm seat just because of the fact that if this Jets team does suck, there's a chance he gets fired, even though I don't really think he should. Again, speaking of that, let's not get rid of fired. It's like, might be gone. Because honestly, guys, I don't think, again, no one should get fired from their job. Like, I'm not saying I'm not trying to call off people, but again, realistically, going into the season, like, we're thinking, like, what could happen? Andy Reid, if they go realistically, if they go 0-17 the next 5 seasons, he'll probably still be their head coach. I mean, he'd retire by then, but if he's still stuck around, I don't see why. I mean, other than Bill Belichick, there isn't a coach who's been more dominant in the past how many years? Like, guys, it's Andy Reid. Like, they've been. There's a chance they tie Brady's, like, literally a dynasty in the the Patriots record with 8 straight championship game appearances. We'll see if they can do this year. Again, there's really no other reason they wouldn't do. Okay. Ben Johnson. I want to say he's safe, but there is a case to say he's questionable. I'm going to say he's safe, though, just because of the fact that I do think at the end of the day, this offense will be above average overall this year. They will be good enough to at least, I don't know, they'll be a lot better than last year at the end of the day. I don't think Caleb Williams will really have a good season. I'm not a fan of him really at all. He was pretty atrocious last year, and I don't think Ben Johnson can do everything. He was pretty pissed. Again, maybe a little bit on the pessimistic would be the best way to say it, but considering he is the dude that has orchestrated the best offense over the past 3 or 4 years, you could argue that, or really 3 years, he does deserve that, again, acknowledgement there. But again, overall, I'd like to see his Bears defense be a little bit more consistent this year. And again, if you can get the best out of those guys on defense that aren't the most talented, I think that'll be a really good sign. But for Ben Johnson, he again, like I think he's got to be safe, right? If they suck, like he'll still be around. There's no reason like he wouldn't be. Again, I'm a big believer in the way he likes to run things. But yeah, it's his first time as a head coach. We'll see what happens. Brian Callahan, yeah, he might be gone. I don't think again in terms of like at risk, he's probably not the most at risk, but he's pretty close. I understand that again. He's got a rookie quarterback and all that, but guys, like he's just not a good coach. I mean, it's pretty simple. The Titans last year were absolutely atrocious. There were countless times where the team just simply was undisciplined. And again, the number one thing with the coach is if your team isn't disciplined, you're just not going to. There's no way you win the Super Bowl. And you look at it on the numbers overall, it doesn't happen. And also on tape, the team is so like unprepared at times too. And the fact that he didn't put his quarterback really in a good situation either for a guy who's supposed to be a good offensive coach. It's just kind of a big disappointment overall for me. Again, he just doesn't really orchestrate the team well at all. And again, really honestly, guys, I'd be shocked again if this team sucks. Maybe like if they're like 2-10 or something, I'd be surprised if he's not gone. But I don't think he should be fired. But he did not have a good first season whatsoever. And again, there's definitely a short leash, especially how bad they were last year. All right, Brian Daboll, obviously on the hot seat. I don't think he should. I really don't think he's a terrible coach. But like guys, this is a team the past 2 seasons that has been one. I won't call it the laughing stock, but one of the worst teams in the NFL. He's not a guy that I look at and I'm like, ugh. Like there's again, then I'm like, yeah, this is a team that can really get behind. Even though again, this is definitely a better team than what they had going into last year, and you could even argue going into 2023. He really didn't do anything to kind of silence what the critics were saying going into the year, and also the fact that this was a team last year that they just so many times just did not show up. It's just a really big issue. Again, I understand the past year just had a lot of issues, especially at quarterback. But again, if you look at it, if they don't figure things out, like really good chance. Even after, like I said, if we look back to the Giants roster grades, which I did like a couple weeks ago, this is again he's a guy who's at risk of just being gone. Pretty simple. Like after like week 4 even, if they get out to a bad start. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I do not know who this guy's face is. Again, what team is this? Brother. Oh, this is Brian Schottenheimer. My bad. I'm really bad with formal pictures because he's not that formal. Brian Schottenheimer, he's got to go unquestionable, right? I can't put him in warm seat. Realistically, he's like this bad, but this isn't a hot seat ranking though. This is tough. Rankings wise, it's not that he has a warm seat, but he's just not a good coach, guys. I got to put him in hot seat again. This isn't. Again, I gotta really preface this here. This isn't like again. Realistically, it is them being like how what's the likelihood of them not being coaching next year. But also, it's kind of a ranking. Brian Schottenheimer is not a good NFL coach. Again, I understand a couple years over there with the Seahawks, he had a pretty good success with Russ. But since moving to the Cowboys, this is not an offense that has been as good as they were with Kellen Moore. And simply put, I just don't think he's a very good coach. I'd be shocked if they maybe win 10 games. They are a pretty talented roster, though, so that is still a possibility. But Brian Schottenheimer just doesn't really seem to have any sort of control over some things. And that is just not good. He's got to figure that out. Dan Campbell is safe. There are questions for sure with him. But he's definitely a guy that I don't really see anything really moving around there. Again, it's Dan Campbell, guys. Yeah. Again, outside the fact again, Ben Johnson was there and all that. But he's built a winner. He's done what he said he was gonna do. Now that I think about it, we're gonna do this. This is tough because I don't want to say this is a hot seat though. That's the thing. Oh, this is tough. You know, we're gonna put him in questionable. Now I think about it, we'll actually do the hot seat whole thing. So yeah. Brian Schottenheimer there. But yeah, Dan Campbell, he's going to be safe. Even if they suck, if they suck, he's definitely going to be like up here. But like realistically, guys, again, I understand like, it was pretty disappointing playoff game for them. But there hasn't been a coach who's gotten in the NFC Championship since 1990. So like, what else are you going to want from him? Dan Quinn, he's got to be safe because of how much they overachieved last year. I don't really think he's a great coach, to be honest with you guys. I think that again, after 28-3, there was just a lot of miscues. He had a really talented roster there with Atlanta too, and just completely blew it. I think defensively he's a little bit overrated as a coach because honestly, it's not the most. He's a pretty generic scheme. And the fact that overall that Commanders team defense last year was very flawed in a lot of ways, despite having some big play games for sure. But yeah, Dan Quinn, I think there will be definitely a drawback from him this year. And again, overall, I don't think he's the greatest coach, but he has to be safe after what happened last year. Dave Canales. I got to keep him in questionable. I think he did a great job with Bryce Young towards the end of last year. Again, you're going to give him all the props with that. This is a team that seemed to come around a little bit defensively, but the fact that this is still a group that has been the worst defensive football, even going on 2 years now, And again, the fact that they were literally the worst team in probably the past 5 years in the 2023 Panthers. There's really no reason that, again, they got to show growth. It's literally, there's two ways this can go. One, they make a run at the playoffs and Bryce Young doesn't look great, or Bryce Young looks great and this is just a team that isn't very good. But he has 7 in freaking 27 his first 2 years. Again, at some point you got to start winning games. I don't think this will be the exact year for it, but again, he's got to show some sort of growth, or he will not be the coach going into next year. But realistically, though, again, he had a pretty solid year last year, and I don't think there's really no. I think he's a solid coach, but like if we're thinking about the front office, especially Dave Tepper, he's gonna have to do a little bit better. All right, D'Amico Ryans is obviously safe. I don't want to say it's ice cold, because this is a team that has disappointed in the divisional round a little bit the past few years. Again, I understand they weren't as good as the Chiefs or Ravens, but this is a team that, again, if they don't win the division this year, there's definitely a little bit of a question mark there, especially after last year where their offense kind of fell off a little bit. But especially the line of scrimmage, this was a team that, again, wasn't as good. But again, defensively, they were phenomenal in the secondary last year. The linebackers also were great, too. So I really like what he's doing in that defense. But I think, again, if you can really try to, again, elevate that D-line in terms of overall penetration, especially against the run, this is a group that could obviously be the best in football. And obviously, offensively, they're very, very good if, again, the fact that this offensive line was good, which it's not. So D'Amico Ryans, again, obviously is safe, but he could definitely be better there. All right, Jim Harbaugh. He's obviously safe, but do I say it's ice cold? I don't think it's ice cold. I'm going to put him in safe. Just because they were so bad in the playoffs. I understand that, again, it was really just kind of a complete disaster and partly in the offense's fault. But again, he tried to partly instill that identity of running the football and playing good defense. They play good defense. Jesse Minter really, again, helped him out there. That was a really good hire there. But we talked about the offense. They really weren't built to be a big-time playoff team just because of the fact that their running game really wasn't that dynamic. And the fact that, again, they put on just all on Justin Herbert and him, Lad McConkey, just was kind of a mess. So, honestly, Jim Harbaugh, you're going to stay there. You're obviously, should be ice cold. But, the fact you played so bad in the playoff game gives me a little bit of second thoughts there. John Harbaugh's right next to him. I don't think he's ice cold either, just because of the fact that this is a team that has other playoff struggles. And again, let's say Lamar gets injured, which again could definitely happen. It's happened in the past. And again, they really underachieved. There's a shot. I won't say he's gonna get fired, but there's definitely a little bit of like what happened sort of thing. But yeah, Jonathan Gannon, he's got to be on the warm seat, right? I don't think he's a hot seat just yet. Again, I understand he hasn't had the greatest start with the Cardinals, but at the same time, he's kind of done what they've asked him to. We all knew that 2023 was gonna be a lost year, which it was. But 2024 last year was very frustrating overall, but they did show potential. I think this is a year they actually have to put something together, though, for him to actually be, I don't think he'll be fired, but he's got to be able to figure something out and show some pretty solid progress if he's going to, be able to justify being a better coach. Kellen Moore, he's going to be... I really want to put him in safe, but I think it'll be questionable for him just because of how bad this Saints team has potential to be. And I don't really know if he's in the best situation to really be his first year as head coach because let's be honest, guys, that offense is just completely awful. The defense, unless they got a funeral home, they're absolutely awful too. So, again, if Kellen Moore is just in a terrible situation, again, he could absolutely get fired. I don't think it'll be his fault. But, yeah, it's just kind of a tough situation for him despite I think he has a lot of potential. I just don't know if this was the time for him to take that job. Kenneth O'Connell is ice cold. Again, I understand the playoff game was tough. But, yeah, there's no reason he'd get fired after this season. It's impossible. Again, I understand the notion that, again, J.J. McCarthy sucks is why would that happen? But, I mean, I think it would be J.J. McCarthy's fault in the first place. But, yes, Kevin O'Connell, after what he did to Sam Darnold, after the fact that, again, he's led a top, 10 offense overall the past, 3 years now? 4 years? No, 3 years. As he's been their head coach, I mean, there's really no reason he'd go anywhere else. Kevin Stefanski, I'd probably put him in warm seat just because of the fact that this is a Browns team that is coming off an absolutely horrible year, and if they suck again, that'll probably happen. I don't really know what they're trying to do there. Again, trading Kenny Pickett, I think, was the right move overall. I don't really know why they traded for him in the first place. Again, they're doing their thing, I guess, but again, I really think, again, he's got to get some success out of one of those quarterbacks. If I think he's obviously going to keep his job. He's one of the best coaches in football, in my opinion, but again, this is a Browns team that is looking for, again, Haslam is probably not, I don't know, maybe he likes losing for sure. But I think there's definitely something there where he's going to have to figure some things out if he wants to, be in a decent spot. But again, really just a warm seat for now. Liam Cohen, I think he's going to go in a warm seat as well. I think, honestly, he's the worst coach in the NFL right now. I'm really not a fan of him. But oh, yeah, look what he did at Kentucky. Look what he did with Will Levis, all this stuff. And Baker last year. First of all, that was not him. Baker was good in 2023. I really was confused by that point. And also, he was an absolutely awful offensive coordinator for the Rams in 2022. I understand Stafford got injured, but he's like, screw it. We got this connection with Kupp and Stafford. That's going to be the entire offense. Look, Kupp gets injured. Again, I understand Stafford got injured and all that. There were a lot of injuries, but the Rams offense was trash to start the season too. Guys, he was awful running that Rams offense in 2023. Last year, I understand he did do a decent job kind of transcending some of the Bucks scheme. I will give him that credit. But overall, there was still a foundation in place. Now he's going to Jacksonville. He's trying to get things going. I think this will be a disaster in a lot of ways, and I don't think he's a good coach whatsoever. I expect this Jackson to kind of be a mess for most of this season too. He's just not a good coach, guys. I like the interview too. Oh my god. But yes, I think Liam Cohen's not a good coach. He's got to have the warm seat. Again, obviously people go, oh, he'll be safe. No. Again, they're going to be bad. He's going to look like a fool, and I don't think he'll be there. But I'm not going to try to call for people's jobs. I just do not think he's a good NFL head coach. Kyle Shanahan, he's ice cold. No, he's got to still be safe, though, because, again, they were injured all of last year. Again, he's one of the best offensive minds we've ever seen. Again, I legitimately thought after 2021, again, if we thought that they're down 17-0 the Rams in Week 18, which a lot of people don't remember, but John Lynch, their GM, almost was about to get fired, and I think Kyle Shanahan was probably out the door. I don't know if that was that season, if the next season, if that was to happen, but the fact, again, they were able to come back and beat the Rams that year, again, they lost later, but still, that happened, and Kyle Shanahan has been to, 3 NFC championships, something ridiculous like that since then. Again, I understand last year they kind of stunk in a lot of ways, but, again, there's no reason that he'd get fired this season unless I don't know, something crazy happens. Mike LaFleur, he's ice cold. I don't really care that, the team kind of underachieved last year. There's really no other reason he'd be anywhere else. I think he's got his job on lock. He's been a great, really good head coach for a while now. What the heck's this guy's name? How am I forgetting it? He's like 6, though. That's the thing. He's the, it's not clicking right now. We got Mike Macdonald, my bad. Mike Macdonald, I think he's safe. Again, I understand last year they kind of, were a little bit disappointing in this for the Seahawks. But his defense was still really good overall. Again, I think he did most of what you expected. They still won 10 games. Pretty solid first year. Again, unless, Darnold sucks and they lose, 14 games, which will not happen, I don't really see how he'd be anywhere else. He should be fine. Mike McDaniel's definitely on the hot seat. Maybe not, but the fact that this Dolphins team has underachieved the past years is definitely a bad sign for him. And I think there's definitely a little bit more smoke and mirrors to what he is. But at the same time, again, he has made Tua a good quarterback. That's why he was brought in. And that is partly the reason I don't think he'll get. But for Mike McDaniel specifically, yeah, I don't think he's a terrible coach, but some other people might have other ideas, so we'll have to wait for that. Mike Tomlin, he's got to be ice cold, right, guys? I understand that, again, all the playoff woes. They haven't won a playoff game since 2017, actually, specifically. But yeah, I think that's a little bit overblown. Again, I understand he's got to win a playoff game soon, but still, they haven't. Well, every year of his coaching tenure with the Steelers, they've been over 500, and that just says something. I understand, again, the playoffs and all that, but still, unless this team sucks, which they won't, because it never happens, again, he can have the job as long as he wants. Mike Vrabel, yeah, you're going to go in questionable. Everyone's like, that was a great head coaching hire, which I think it was, but, guys, you don't understand, the last years of the Titans, that team was just dead. There was something missing, something big missing with that team. And again, with what happened, I don't think they were prepared for that playoff game in 2021. I really didn't see why they lost to the Bengals. Again, I understand Ryan Tannehill sucked and all that. There's a bunch of reasons for that. But I think they could have been prepared better and not have been oh, yeah, Derrick Henry, he's back. He'll be ready to go sort of thing. Because they really tried to just, rely on him to open the game. I think that was partly Arthur Smith's fault. Back in 2020, trying to, kind of instilling that. Again, obviously not trying to just completely hate on Arthur Smith. But still, I think that was part of that. And then 2021, it was just kind of like that. But again, got fired after 2023. Last year, basically took a year off. But, yeah, I think Mike Vrabel will be good, but he does not have the greatest roster. I think there is definitely a place where this team isn't really much better than they've been the past 2 years. Will that actually happen? Probably not. Those should be good. Nick Sirianni. I don't think he's much more than an average NFL head coach. But he's won a Super Bowl. He's been at 2 Super Bowls. And I think he's the best record overall for a head coach, if I'm not mistaken, in the past 3 years. He wins games. There's no way around that. This guy's a freaking winning head coach. Does he have anything else that's really intangible? No, not really. But does he win games? Yes. That's why he's probably a top 10 coach. But, not that special, but wins games. And, again, until he doesn't do that, he's a good coach. That simple. Pete Carroll, questionable. This is a Raiders team that could very realistically be really freaking bad. Will they be? I don't really see it. But, yeah. Pete Carroll they should be a lot better. But, honestly, I definitely see them, missing the playoffs, 9 or 8 wins. But, this is a team that they've got their big holes, and I don't know if Pete Carroll's really ready to, again, what is he, 80 now? To really plug those. Raheem Morris has to be on the hot seat. No, he's in the warm seat. The Falcons really blew it last year. There was a good shot they could have made the playoffs. They did not actually do that. And I think, again, a lot of his livelihood, similar to, Kevin O'Connell's reputation, not him actually getting fired. But relies on their young quarterback, that obviously being Michael Penix for Raheem Morris, but he really did do a great job last year. I think, again, defensively, they did have a pretty decent season in terms of the consistency from what we saw in the past with that defense. The passer still wasn't any better, though, and again, until those young rookies really show something, I don't really know if he can, like, really prove to himself that he's, again, really, again, a solid coach, because, again, he didn't have a great year last year. Sean McDermott's ice cold. I understand all the playoffs and all that, but again, this is a team that has won a playoff game and been in the divisional round for like 6 straight years or 5 straight. There's really no reason you go anywhere else. Again, the Bills and all that, nothing, my Chiefs and all that, I understand that, but I really don't care. Sean McVay, unless he retires, he's going to be the Rams coach. Sean Payton's going to go right next to him. Those are him, McVay, Payton, and Andy Reid are by far the top 3 coaches in the league, and then you can kind of go after that. Shane Steichen is obviously on the hot seat. I don't know what the hell they're doing down there in Indy, but I don't think it'll work out, and there's a good chance he'll be gone by like mid-season. I don't actually think he's a terrible head coach. I like his scheme, especially with the running game. John Taylor, who's been on the field with him as the head coach, has been a very productive back, much more than he was in 2022. But at the same time, I don't think this is a defense that has really transcended whatsoever with him. And the fact that, again, he really just has done an awful... I think Anthony Richardson sucks in the first place, obviously, but he's done an awful job in some ways putting him in the right spot. I think that is definitely a failure for him. That is going to put him in a tough spot. Todd Bowles, until he's not a head coach, is going to be on the warm seat. No, probably questionable. Todd Bowles isn't a good head coach, guys. He just isn't. But I think he's gotten lucky with Baker and that offense kind of figuring things out, and especially with that defense, the aggressive play set he's put in is kind of just fit into a glove. I don't think he's a very good head coach, but again, he's won the division, 2 straight years now as their head coach. He should do a decent job, but again, overall, I don't think he's a very good head coach. Again, he never really has been. He's a great defensive coordinator. Head coach, not awesome. Zach Taylor, he has a warm seat. He doesn't have a hot seat yet, because, again, he really can't really give him the blame for, I'd like to give him the blame for the Bengals defense being less than optimal. I don't think they were completely trash last year, but being less than optimal. But Lou Anarumo was kind of running that show, honestly, for a while now. I think that's part of the reason they were so bad defensively last year. But obviously, offensively, he's got that whole thing running. Again, I don't think it's completely him. But again, until this team, they got to get back to the playoffs this year. It's going to have to happen. But again, if they lose in the wild card round, I think he'll still keep his job. That's why he has a warm seat. But again, definitely going to have to do something this year. Or he will probably not be the head coach. I don't know. Maybe he still will be. It depends on what happens. But with that said, that is all I have for the head coach in the NFL. Again, this kind of just turned into Thunderdome and a hot seat ranking, which it probably should have been in the first place. So that's what we're going to roll with there. But again, if you enjoyed this and think any other head coaches are going to be fired, comment that in the section down in this comment section below. There we go. And yeah, see you for some offense and defense team rankings coming up.
Fires it inside. Oh, there goes T.Y. Hilton. It's a foot race. And there he goes. Touchdown. 63 yards. And the lead. They've got to go for 2 now. They're up by 4. Boy, you look at a good play.